Okay, this is part two to my. This is actually the main part of it. I had to pause my video for a bit there, but this is part two for how to charge a motorcycle battery when the battery is dead. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention when I started was it's always good once you get the battery to exposed. After you've taken off necessary plastics, bodywork, seat, and this and that. Once you get it exposed like this, and the lead's exposed, once you remove your positive and negative wires, it is a good thing to use a multimeter tester. Set it to the 20 volt DC range, and you want to connect the positive lead there, and the negative lead there, so black there, red there, just to measure the actual voltage that the battery's giving you, just to confirm that it's dead. That's an important step that I overlooked when I was first explaining it. Okay, just moving on now. Okay, in the first video I talked about not plugging the charger in, and before it's plugged in you want to make sure that the setting is right. On a motorcycle, if you're using a standard car charger, it's got to be on the lowest setting, and if the setting is over 2 amps, I recommend not using that and getting a proper motorcycle battery charger. You should actually do that anyways, but this method works too. It's not gonna, contrary to what some people say, this isn't going to hurt your battery going at 2 amps. It's actually, it's going to excite the cells a little bit more, which will actually be better for it. So what you want to do is just, before you plug it in, so I've set the charger up to the proper setting, 12 volts DC, 2 amps. You want to set it on 1.5 amps if you can, or 1.2. Next, I want to make sure that I'm not going to have anything falling into here. This is going to stay pretty stationary, because this bike, it's not really going to get bumped at all or anything. What I want to do is, I'm going to put the phone down because I don't want to touch these leads. I just want to get into the habit of keeping this separate from this and not touching those. This goes on the black negative post on the battery. This goes on the positive post. So that's the positive and that's the negative. Okay. And I want to make sure that these alligator clips don't touch any part of the frame at all. I just want the metal part contacting the posts, the battery posts, and that is it. If it's contacting another part of the frame, you have to reposition it. Okay, I don't know if I was pointed in the right area, but that's kind of what I'm after right there. I'll wiggle it around a bit just to make sure. What I like to do is I like to grab this end and kind of squeeze it a bit and wiggle it just to make sure that it's, because you'd be surprised sometimes you get poor connection. Okay, so that's the way we want to have it connected. It's set. I have my battery connected properly. Now, once I've confirmed all that, now I plug in my charger. Then and only then, once those are done, is when you plug it in. Kind of hard to freaking hold my phone while I do that. But now you see my charger is off the ground. A wooden stool works the best, but I've got this little tiny plastic chair here, which works pretty good too. Now, being that I knew my battery was dead before, I in the previous video attempts, I'd actually charge it up already. So this is a really poor scale here. I don't usually go by that. I usually use my multimeter and I connect it to the battery to check the voltage. It'll pretty much be charged up now though. So I just wanted to show you how to connect that and stuff. If your battery is, this is, you don't want to ever leave it there. But if your battery is completely stone dead and it's been sitting for a long time, just leave it on that 2 amp for, an hour or so. And then you might want to come back into the shop and you might want to just toggle it to the 10 amp for a second. Toggle it to the 10 amp for a second or two and then back. Don't ever leave it on anything that high because your battery will explode. But just doing that for a couple seconds will help excite the lead off of the cells. So it'll help reverse the process, the chemical process in the lead acid battery. Help get hydrochloric acid back into the water, which is the active ingredient. So that's pretty much what we're going to do now. To disconnect, let's just say either we want to check it or we want to disconnect it. This is just go in reverse of those steps basically. Just disconnect the charger. There's no more power to the charger. Okay. And now I want to get into the habit of not touching the 2 alligator clips. So what I'm going to do, actually what you should do is you should be removing the negative first at all times, the negative lead, right? And then the positive. See how I didn't touch that? I just clipped that to itself. And go ahead and clip that to that, clip that to that. And there we go. Now I'm going to assemble the bike and we'll go ahead and start it. I'm just going to maybe I'll just connect the battery up and then we'll start the bike just to prove that the battery's charged. I think that's what I'll do. Just to make sure you can see me. There. Get your screwdriver or whatever you use to disconnect the battery. And what you want to do is connect the pot in reverse of the way you remove the leads. So the positive first, you want to connect, tighten it up, and then the negative. Connect and then tighten it up. So, because when the negative's off, when all the leads are off the battery, you can't possibly short it out in any way. As long as you don't bridge a tool across the 2 posts, which it's pretty hard to do. I've seen it done before. I might have done it when I was a kid, maybe once or whatever. I can't even remember, but it's pretty hard to do. You have to be kind of absent-minded for that to actually happen. Plus, all these new little, insulated housings and stuff like that on the new bikes and the new vehicles. It makes it really hard to screw up. So, and like I said before, make sure your ignition's off. Make sure your engine disconnect switch, your engine stop switch, you can even leave it in the off position for now, just to make sure that that power isn't coming to the battery. That power is not being connected to the battery. As soon as you connect the leads, it just stops any arcing that might occur. So now, I'm just about to connect the negative lead. When you connect the negative lead, you want to be careful you don't touch the frame when you're doing this. So whenever you can, try to use a screwdriver up above like me. Try not to use a catching here. Try not to use a wrench whenever possible. I gotta find this fastener here. It's not catching. Sometimes you gotta really dig for this thing to catch. Let's see here what's going on. Patience is the best thing. I'm just going to grab a little pick tool. I had a better one. Yeah, when you do, if you ever have to do this, like move that little nut around, make sure that you don't touch the frame. Just try not. It's not going to kill you, your battery, but if you ever do touch it like that, just make sure that you don't hold it there, or because your battery will drain really fast. Hopefully this works and catches. I think it is. I think it's catching. Look at that sneaky little bugger. Not having any luck here with that nut. What I'm gonna do is just put something underneath here for it to sit on, so that my bolt will thread in. What it's doing is it's just sitting down a little too low for my bolt. My bolt's not quite long enough. Okay, I'm actually just gonna grab something else to. Well, I'm just using some MacGyvering here, just putting a little piece of paper underneath the post nut so that it'll sit up a bit for my bolt to catch. I'm going to take that bolt right out and put it here so I don't lose it while I'm doing this, so it doesn't drop down anywhere. Now, or the bolt, I don't know if I said that, the bolt, not the nut. Now, put that under there. Okay, that should work. That should work. Okay. Now grab your screwdriver again. There we go. Here we go. There we go. Okay, now just hand tight screwdriver. You never want to over tighten that nut because it's kind of a lead nut, so it's really soft. Those nuts are really soft on there, kind of like other ones. But now, just want to kind of hand tighten these for now. I'm going to just show you the bike starting, and then you go ahead and you know how to put your own panels back on, and it's all specific to your own bike anyways. So, and when you do this, make sure that any wire harnesses that you may have moved go back in the proper spots. Actually, don't even need to do those bolts yet. What I am going to do is drop the tank down in its home. I want to put the tank down before I start it. Which means I have to get all these fasteners in their places. Proper places first. Okay. So take my spacer block out, my enormous spacer block. Make sure my rubber bushings are out of the way. And my tank slides in between those. Okay, now need this bolt and nut again. Always take stuff out of get things out of your way. It always makes it easier. Okay. Not that that's not common sense or anything. And like I said, whenever you're doing up any of these fasteners here, especially for your tank, fairings, plastics, seat, always use blue Loctite. I'm not doing it right now just because I'm gonna be refastening, retightening all these anyways after. I just want to start the bike up here and yeah, show a successful procedure, and then we'll be good. Okay, key. Now, I didn't have to disconnect anything from the tank, nothing, nope. Here. What I want to do now is, my battery is all solid and hooked up. Okay. Now, turn your engine kill switch back on. Put your key in, obviously. Now that's the right sound. See that, and you see the RPM meter climb up like that, and hear that whining noise. That's what I want to hear. Okay, now go ahead and hit the starter. Make sure it's in neutral. There we go. And she's really cold, so that's why it was sputtering a bit, but that's a successful job. Okay, catch my future videos. I'm going to be showing you how to set your race sag on a motocross bike or any bike, and brake bleeding. So there's lots to come. So catch me again. Thanks.